Live from Studio 46, this is CBS 2 News This Morning.
It is 5 o'clock, 46 degrees on this Monday, November 9th. A cool start to what is going to be a nice fall day, but there is a big change coming tomorrow.
Good morning. I'm Chris Raggi.
I'm Mary Calvi. Welcome to CBS 2 News This Morning. We will have traffic and weather on the twos in just a moment, but first, a developing story. Police opened fire on robbery suspects last night in Brooklyn after one of them allegedly pointed a BB gun at officers.
One of the suspects was wounded, another arrested, and this morning, another suspect is still on the loose. CBS 2's Janelle Burrell has more live from Bed-Stuy this morning. Janelle?
Yeah, and Chris, this began with a trio of those young men pulling that BB gun out on a man, trying to rob him. Well, it turns out the person they were trying to rob here on Bedford and Monroe Street in Bed-Stuy, that man was an undercover detective. Police say a 20-year-old man and two others were trying to rob the undercover detective just before 7 Sunday night, pulling this weapon on the cop, who fired back.
The detective fired one round from his service weapon.
The 20-year-old seen here on surveillance video from a nearby grocery store being taken from the scene on Monroe Street in Bed-Stuy. He was hit by the detective's bullets in the arm and torso. He was taken to Kings County Hospital in stable condition.
Actually, I never thought it was a gunshot because it was too loud. It was too loud, and I know about gunshot, but it was like an explosion.
It turns out the weapon the 20-year-old pulled on the detective was actually a BB gun. Investigators are now working to determine if the same suspects are the ones accused of robbing a woman earlier in the day who was responding to an online ad for an apartment.
The initial robbery did have a Craigslist element to it very early on in the investigation. We don't know if the males that were apprehended here are connected with the initial robbery complaint.
Now, the 20-year-old who was shot is still in the hospital this morning in stable condition. The detective was treated for ringing in his ears. Reporting live this morning from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, Janelle Burrell, CBS 2 News.
Janelle, thank you. It is now 5:02, and now to traffic and weather on the twos. Meteorologist John Elliott.
Janelle's got a coat on. You're going to need one, too. We have the 20s, 30s, and 40s out the door. Even in the city, you're at 46 degrees with those clear skies overhead. Clear north and west. That's why we're seeing more frost. Widespread frost for parts of the suburbs. Cool pockets in New Jersey, up into the Hudson Valley, Connecticut as well. Scanning the skies, not much to scan, but to the south, there is a organized system that ushers in the return of the rain we desperately need for your Tuesday. Models a little slower now, so looks like it might be a little later on Tuesday. Your day today, mid-50s to right around 60 with some nice sun. A bit of a south breeze sets in this afternoon as well. 5:03. Let's save you some more time with Alex Dennis.
Thank you, John. Good morning, everyone. Well, as you make your way in Brooklyn, this is what you are up against here. We have an accident blocking 2 lanes on the southbound side of the BQE. It's as you approach the Williamsburg Bridge. We're starting to see some delays back to McGinnis Boulevard, so anticipate that for your morning ride. Let's move to the George Washington Bridge, where I have a little bit of better news. As you make your way to all of the Hudson River crossings this morning, you are delay-free at the tolls. But in Manhattan, we have emergency construction. It has the right lane closed as you make your way northbound on the Harlem River Drive. It's between 125th Street and 142nd Street. As you can see, it's kind of like a yellowish hue. No real delay through the area. Just know it is out there. Alternate side, it's in effect citywide. Remember to be safe. Don't text and drive. Chris and Mary, back to you.
Alex, thank you. We're learning more this morning about the taxi driver involved in a deadly accident on the Upper West Side.
Sources tell CBS 2 the cabbie told police he had been driving for 16 hours before allegedly mowing down an elderly woman yesterday. CBS 2's Diane Macedo joins us live from the Upper West Side with an update on this story. Diane.
Chris and Mary, you can see the candles behind me here at 109th in Columbus, marking a memorial to Luisa Rosario. She's just one of at least 10 pedestrians killed in the past week in accidents around New York City. Now, Mayor de Blasio is promising in all of these deaths, those responsible will be identified and prosecuted accordingly.
Everybody said, mommy, mommy, mama, mama. Everybody said, mama. Everybody love me.
Milagros Fajaldo was in tears, barely able to speak about the loss of 88-year-old Luisa Rosario, a motherly woman well known and loved by her neighbors.
She always smiling, talking to you, and she'll dance with the little kids.
Surveillance video shows the crash that hit and killed Rosario just after midnight on Sunday. The taxi makes a right turn off Columbus as Rosario steps off the sidewalk to cross 109th with the light. We're stopping the video just before the point of impact.
He was yelling, "Oh, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. I didn't see her."
Her grandson says he can't believe it happened right around the corner from her apartment.
To me, it looked like a nightmare, and I still don't believe it. A thing happens like that.
Rosario died at the hospital. Now police confirm the cab driver told them he had been behind the wheel for 16 hours that night, surpassing the city limit of 12 hours in a 24-hour period.
It has been a tough week, a very, very tough week.
On Friday, Mayor de Blasio spoke about the alarming number of traffic deaths a year after launching his Vision Zero policy.
NYPD has issued 100,000 speeding tickets this year so far, 100,000, which is nearly twice as much as before Vision Zero was put into effect.
The mayor's office says 104 pedestrians have been killed so far this year compared to 117 this time last year. Tonight, Rosario's family is begging the city to do more.
But they need to do something about it. I mean, the mayor, the politician.
That taxi driver involved in Rosario's crash was arrested. He's been charged with failure to yield to a pedestrian, and the Manhattan District Attorney is now investigating. Live on the Upper West Side, Diane Macedo, CBS 2 News.
Diane, thank you. A vicious attack by a pit bull terrier has led to the death of a 9-year-old girl on Long Island. The girl was mauled while playing with friends in the backyard of a home in Elmont at around 10 Sunday morning. Friends ran screaming for help after trying to get the dog to release the child. Eventually, police arrived and shot the animal. Neighbors saw the commotion and heard the shots.
At first I thought like the kids probably find a gun or something because the gun went off, you know? But we didn't know it was a dog.
The girl was pronounced dead at the hospital in Valley Stream 4 hours after the attack. The dog belongs to a man who lives in an upstairs apartment in the home. He was arrested on an unrelated charge of violating an order of protection.
Police have arrested a man accused of posing as a cab driver and sexually assaulting a woman. Police say the suspect, Adil Raja, saw the victim walking in Patchogue and offered her a ride. She got in and told him where to go, but instead, police say Raja took her to a different location, showed a BB gun, and sexually assaulted her in the back seat. He is now charged with first-degree rape.
The FBI has agreed to help the Russian government investigate what caused a Russian jetliner to crash in Egypt last month. A memorial service was held in St. Petersburg with mourners lighting candles and praying for the 224 people killed. Investigators are trying to determine if a bomb exploded on the October 31st Metrojet flight from Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. New York Senator Charles Schumer says he was briefed by the FBI and Homeland Security. He says even though a bomb is a possibility, so far there is no evidence that ISIS was involved.
Most of ISIS's communications, unlike Al-Qaeda's or bin Laden's, is electronic. So we have a pretty good chance of listening in, and we didn't find those. There have been no threats that our authorities have picked up aimed at New York or the United States.
Schumer also says Egyptian officials have so far resisted allowing FBI agents to investigate on the ground.
A symbol of the city's resilience following the 9/11 attacks has arrived in time for Veterans Day. The USS New York floated past the Verrazano Narrows Bridge on Sunday. 7.5 tons of the ship's building materials came from the steel rubble of the World Trade Center. The vessel is docked at Pier 88 on the Hudson River as part of Veterans Week, which runs through Friday.
Really is a beautiful ship. Time now is 5:08. Still to come, a college football protest getting some national attention.
Also this morning, stunning video of a violent encounter between a Palestinian woman and an Israeli soldier, all ahead of the Prime Minister's visit to the States. Plus this.
It's taking away the fun of Christmas.
The Santa display at a local mall that has a lot of people talking, and not in a good way. The magical transformation that almost happened overnight.
Well, it's the sign of the season. It's cold out there, so definitely it's a coat warning for many. Jacket in the city, hats and gloves, yeah, if you're delicate like me. Shades, though, you're going to need those as well. Traffic and weather on the 2s coming up.
Hey, good morning and welcome back on this Monday morning. It's 46 degrees out there. You know what that means? It's getting a little colder each and every day. A lot of open ice, too. So if you want to get out there and get a little workout in before you head to work or whatever you're doing, I'll tell you, there you go. The ice rink is ready for you. Time is now 5:12. Time for traffic and weather on the twos. Boy, that's the sound of winter right there.
I tell you what, it's just rudimental. I mean, you've got to lay it all on you. If it's that cold, you got to put a scarf on. See what I did there with the kids and the music?
No idea.
Yeah. So yeah, I tell you, it definitely feels like the season, but come on. We were so spoiled. Highs in the 60s and 70s last week. None of that. We will be slightly above normal all week long, temperature-wise, but you're looking at maybe 2 degrees here, 5 degrees there. That's about it. And it's a busier week overall. I mean, there's wet weather at times, so let's get ready for that. Clearing 46 in the city. Oh, a northwest wind at 3 northwest. Then it gives way to calm, and then a south wind fills in later today. So Comax at 36 right now. Morristown 30. It's not even freezing in Morristown, if you get my drift. 28 in Sussex, Middletown's at 30, Danbury's at 29, Raya's at 38, 30 for the Jersey Shore. Just want to show you, I mean, it's cold upstate. Albany right now is 30, 31 in Pittsburgh, 42 in D.C. It's a little more mild down through the Virginias, and there's wet weather there that's headed our way. But not today. Lunchtime, 57 and sunny in the city, flirting with 64. Your high this afternoon at 2. And then you see a hint of a cloud, definitely more cloud cover overnight tonight. That will serve to insulate us a bit, but it also is the conduit as we usher in that chance of rain for your Tuesday. Bright and cool today, really one of the nicer of the week. So get out there and enjoy it. You know, I'm going to do some raking. I've got more raking to do. It's wetter tomorrow, but the models are really slowing this thing down. We thought this would just take over during the day. Last 2 runs have it coming in tomorrow night. So that means we'll see a leftover shower on Veterans Day. So remember that. Morning observations could see a little bit of wet weather. Then it shapes up during the course of the day. Models are also backing away from the totals through Wednesday, maybe a quarter to a half an inch to an inch south. And remember, that's a key part of this. It is going to be coming up from the south, so you'll see it sooner in Ocean and Monmouth counties, and you'll see a little bit more in the way of coverage there, possibly to the east. Do we need it? Yes, we do. Deficit for the year, almost 8 3/4. So we could use the rain. And then we have that second chance for rain coming in on Thursday. Today is quiet. Clouds are going to filter in later today. Calm wind gives way to a southwest wind. Tease it up for some wet weather. I think later on Tuesday, overnight into the first part of your Wednesday. Wednesday afternoon is better. It's a little warmer, too. That's above normal. Thursday's a busier day, a better chance for some more widespread rain, and then we wrap that up, and you're back in the 50s, where you should be by Friday. Hey, you're right where you should be. If you want to be the smart, informed traveler, we know you can be.
John, thanks. Good morning, everyone. If you're traveling in Brooklyn, let's take a live look at an accident blocking 2 lanes on the southbound side of the BQE. It's as you approach the Williamsburg Bridge, and unfortunately, delays are starting to build quickly through the area. They now stretch back to the Kosciuszko Bridge. If you are traveling in the Bronx, the Cross Bronx is moving well at the Alexander Hamilton Bridge. So that's a little bit of better news for you. But once you make your way into Manhattan, we have emergency construction that has the right lane closed. It's on the northbound side of the Harlem River Drive between 125th Street and 142nd Street. The good news, still no real delays through the area. Mass Transit, Metro North Path Trains, New Jersey Transit, and LIRR are on or close to schedule for you. Alternate side parking, it's in effect citywide. And remember to be safe. Don't text and drive. Chris, back to you.
Alex, thank you. President Obama and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meet today at the White House. Netanyahu left Israel yesterday for his first face-to-face talks with Mr. Obama in more than a year. They're expected to focus on a new 10-year military aid package for Israel and the possibility of a Palestinian state alongside the Jewish state. Meantime, the wave of violence between Palestinians and Israelis continues. Surveillance video caught this scene as a Palestinian woman attacked an Israeli security guard with a knife yesterday. He shot her. The guard was not seriously hurt. The woman is expected to survive.
The family of a man mysteriously found dead during a cruise in the Bahamas is planning to sue Royal Caribbean. Cell phone video shows Bernardo Elbaz clinging to a lifeboat rafter on Friday on the side of the Oasis of the Sea. The cruise line says Elbaz jumped after a domestic dispute. His family says Elbaz fell during an altercation with crew members who allegedly made anti-gay slurs about him and his husband.
Throughout the cruise, there were anti-gay remarks that were being made against them. There was no jump, there was no domestic dispute.
The attorney says he is looking into why the crew did not do more to rescue him.
Well, the Christmas displays at 2 malls in our area have been changed after public outcry over the lack of holiday cheer.
As CBS 2's Hazel Sanchez tells us, Santa is getting another makeover.
For those celebrating Christmas, this is the scene most remember when visiting Santa at the Westchester Mall in White Plains. But just a few days ago, the traditional holiday reds and greens were replaced by a more modern Santa set like this one in Roosevelt Field Mall on Long Island.
Where's the green? Where's the red? Where's the elves? Where's the idea of Christmas?
Roosevelt Field and the Westchester were among 7 malls across the country owned by the Simon Property Group that were outfitted with a new streamlined winter wonderland called Glacier, glowing in white lights, but no decorated Christmas trees or lifelike reindeer. Many shoppers were disappointed with the change. Mike Brightwig created a Facebook page urging people to boycott Simon malls.
I think that it was the beginning of a whitewashing of the holiday season.
It's taking away the fun of Christmas.
I think as a society, overall, I think we've gone a little bit too PC.
Simon Property President David Contis says the attempt to change the Christmas theme had nothing to do with making the season secular.
This wasn't a response to in years past saying it's too Christmassy or too Christian.
Absolutely not. Not in any way whatsoever. It was in response to trying to create a more interactive, kind of modern experience for the kids.
Okay.
And it just didn't work.
So Simon malls are going back to their traditional sets. Some malls like Roosevelt Field plan to mix the old with the new.
I appreciate that. I think that's great.
I think it's smart of them to bring back Christmas trees.
Again, out of 110 Simon malls across the country, only 7 were given this Glacier set. 3 of them are now being torn down, and 1 was never even put up. In White Plains, Hazel Sanchez, CBS 2 News.
Okay, so the Glacier thing didn't work.
No, it did not.
Back to Christmas. Time is now 5:19. Coming up next in sports, a big day for the Jets and the Giants.
And 32 college football players walk off the field and refuse to play until the school president is removed. We take a closer look at why.
And we'll get you another check of your traffic and weather on the 2s right after this. V woman. Giants, Jets.
Yeah. Cold.
Okay, Macy's has unveiled the 4 new balloons that will make their debut in this year's Thanksgiving Day Parade. The trial run at Citi Field Sunday included Scrat and his acorn from the movie Ice Age. There's also Red from Angry Birds and 2 balloons associated with corporations, a new 4th version of Ronald McDonald. And Dino, the Sinclair oil dinosaur, is returning to the parade for the first time since 1976. A total of 17 balloons will make their way down the parade route on Thanksgiving Day.
As long as Snoopy's there, everything's okay with me. 5:22. Let's get to traffic and weather on the 2s. John.
They just keep looking better and better. Hey, I tell you, it feels a little bit more like November should. 46 in the city, the hot spot. We've got readings in the 20s. Franklin's at 28, 28 in Walden, 28 Madison. A little bit of frost on the windshield. Chilly out the door. Mawa, my, 38, 30 in Mattawan, 30 for the Jersey Shore. Today, cool and comfortable. Boy, I tell you what, flirting with 60. A few clouds creep in this afternoon. And then we're a little warmer Tuesday into Wednesday. But remember, there's that rain chance tomorrow. And then again after a break Wednesday, chance for more rain on Thursday. So it's a busier week this week. How busy is it right now, Alex?
John, good morning to everyone. Thanks for waking up with us. If you were traveling in Brooklyn, here's a live look at one of our hundreds of cameras. Unfortunately, though, it shows an accident blocking 2 lanes on the southbound side of the BQE. It's as you approach the Williamsburg Bridge. Delays are now building quickly and stretch back to the Kosciuszko Bridge. And on the northbound side, we have a disabled vehicle blocking the right lane at McGinnis Boulevard, and minor delays reported there. Also in Manhattan, there's emergency construction. It has the right lane closed on the northbound side of the Harlem River Drive. It's between 125th Street and 142nd Street. Now, the good news in this, if you want to call it good news, no real delays getting through the area quite yet. Alternate side, it's in effect citywide. And remember to be safe. Don't text and drive. Chris, over to you.
Okay, Alex, thank you. Time now for your CBS2 WFAN sports update. The Giants looking to stay on top of the NFC East. In Tampa yesterday, Jason Pierre-Paul making his return to the field, and he was in Jameis Winston's face most of the day, wearing that club-like device on his injured hand. And although no sacks, he was able to constantly apply pressure. Good sign. He played 47 plays. Now, the game started with an INT for Eli Manning, but you know what? He was effective the rest of the way. Watch this. Ruben Randle wide open. Said he's never been more wide open. And then Shane Vereen right here. Eli puts it in the right spot. Giants build a 20-6 halftime lead, but Tampa, they hung around, had a shot in the final play. Look at this. And then watches what happens here. It's this low. Yep. Can't throw it to an offensive lineman. He's not going to catch it. Trevin Wade picks it up, takes it in, scores as time expires. New York wins it by 14 down in Tampa, 32-18, your final score.
Way to go, Giants. The other big game in the NFC East, the Eagles and the Cowboys. Last night, Big D, Dan Bailey sends it to overtime with less than 10 seconds left. This didn't last long. Sam Bradford finds Jordan Matthews for a 41-yard touchdown, and this is in overtime. 33-27 Eagles. Philly a half game behind the Giants in the division.
Now the Jets taking on the Jags at MetLife Stadium yesterday, and it was up and down for the op. Chris Ivory with only 26-yard rushing, but he did find the end zone twice yesterday. Jacksonville stayed in this game pretty much the entire time. Had the turnover bug, though, that hit them in the 4th. When it looked like they were driving, Blake Bortles gets hit, coughs it up. The Jags had 3 late turnovers, and you know what they say about turnovers. They are all costly. It allowed Ryan Fitzpatrick, well, oops. After you see another turnover, here goes Ryan Fitzpatrick to Brandon Marshall for the comfortable 12-point lead. Fitz becomes the first quarterback since the AFL-NFL merger to beat the same opponent with 5 different teams. The Jets hang on to win by 5, 28-23. Everybody beats Jacksonville. Yeah. I mean, they're terrible, let's be honest. Okay.
Good weekend for New York.
Yeah, it was nice.
The board that governs the University of Missouri meets this morning following growing campus protests over issues of race and alleged discrimination.
Some student athletes are calling for the school's president to step down, and they say they will not play in any more games until he does. That includes at least 30 members of the University of Missouri football team. They say school president Tim Wolf has failed to address recent incidents, and they say they won't play again until action is taken. The movement started last week with the graduate students' hunger strike and then spread.
You know, we've written letters, you know, we've used social media, we've, you know, done peaceful marches and done rallies and other things, but we're continually not listened to by administration.
Wolf has refused calls to resign, but in a statement said he believes change is needed.
It is now 5:26. Up next, the day's top stories.
New details in a police-involved shooting in Brooklyn. This morning, detectives continue their search for a 3rd suspect.
We're live at the scene of a memorial after a deadly week for pedestrians in New York City. Now, Mayor de Blasio is promising action.
And do you have trouble sleeping? Well, guess what? You're not alone. We have the 5 ways to get you to bed on time. CBS 2 News This Morning continues right after this.
CBS2 Sports is brought to you by Audi.